Hello, it is Throwback Thursday, July 27th, 2023. Steve Sipress here on a gorgeous summer evening. Our 28th day in a row here where the temperature in Phoenix reached at least 110 degrees for the day. We recently broke the streak of 8 straight days over 115. And the forecast, though, says our record is coming to an end. Sunday is forecast to be only 109 or 108, and therefore under the record will break the streak and not complete the entire month of July with highs over 110. Also, I think a couple of days ago, or maybe it was yesterday, we had the first day in July where the temperature was below 90 degrees at any time of any day. By the way, the climate hoaxsters love how this is measured, but because the measurements in all the towns surrounding Phoenix are always several degrees lower. But in Phoenix, they, like excellent global warming hoaxsters, they measure the temperature on the tarmac, on a runway at Phoenix Airport. Of course, by far the hottest place they could possibly take the measurement. And so take everything with a grain of salt. However, it's just fun to say that we're setting records here with temperature, and it is ridiculous. But I digress. We're throwing it back 80 years. 80 years ago yesterday, Mick Jagger was born, the undisputed #1 rock and roll band frontman of all time. And yet he was so much more than that. People think that the Stones' financial success was because their great music and their great songs and, Keith and Mick's great showmanship. I think they're in the top 20 of all time in albums sold. They are #1 since 1980 in most gross revenue from concert tours, and they're the only band ever with 2 separate tours in the top 10 all time of the top 10 highest grossing tours. And they're not even done yet. Mick Jagger is 80. You might think that it's because it's great music and great showmanship, but I'm well known for saying, my clients know, and business owners that I help out, that having an excellent product or service is just the ante to get in the game. That's when you can start to put into place effective advertising and marketing and sales systems. So the excellent music or the excellent showmanship of the Rolling Stones is just the ante to get in the game. Now they've got to be excellent business people to have the financial success that they have had and the longevity that they have had with it. And I will tell real briefly, people that know me know I have a law degree, and I had a client years ago. I've had many clients that are attorneys. I had a client attorney years ago who told me that he was all excited one day because his firm had something to do with promotion or trademark, or I forget what it was, and they were going to have a meeting with Mick Jagger. Was going to come in and talk to them about something, and he said, oh, everyone in the firm was all giddy and excited, and they all wanted to get into that boardroom and get into that meeting, or just happened to be hanging out in the hall when he would get out of the elevator and walk by, because, man, it was Mick Jagger. And this client of mine was one of the people that was in the room, he was telling me, and they were all excited. They couldn't wait to meet the greatest rock and roll frontman of all time, the sex symbol, the swinging, rock and rolling, drug taking, freewheeling, wild and crazy Mick Jagger. And he said everyone's jaw dropped when Mick Jagger actually came off the elevator and was dressed immaculately in a conservative suit, and without cracking a smile or saying a word, in other words, like every other business person, he just strolled into the boardroom and didn't mention one thing about rock and roll or music or sex or drugs or anything. He just was a master negotiator, they said, knew all the numbers cold, knew all the business, everything about business and about this particular situation and negotiation, knew it all cold, was totally prepared, blew everyone away, and got the best of all the big shot attorneys in the room and struck a fantastic deal for him and for the group. And I assume that's not the only time he did that, and I assume he's been doing that for about 60 years, and he's not even done yet. So there's a bunch of lessons in there. I've told this and shared this with a whole bunch of clients and other business owners who are not my clients that I help out. By the way, if you want some help, no charge, even if you're not my client, and there's no chance you'll ever be my client, even though that might be true, I'll still help you out. You go to www.thewowstrategy.com. That's my proven strategy that has grown thousands of businesses over the decades, no matter what the economy is and what type of business is and so on. Anyway, I remember one of my clients, a top comedian, who then started, he was fantastic at selling out the events that he was performing at so he can get paid. And then we put together a system where he would sell his system or implement it for the owners of the venues so they could sell out their place no matter who was performing, because they were empty all the time until he would come in and his would sold out. He said, I'll implement my system for you and you can sell out with anybody. And eventually it became any comedian, any music act, darts league, karaoke night, whatever it was. He can put the butts in seats and sell out the place. But I remember in the beginning, it was all frustrating. He said these business owners, these bar, restaurant, club owners, they don't want to talk to me. They see me as the comedian, telling the jokes with the baseball cap on backwards, drinking a beer, acting like Mr. Everyman and telling these jokes and getting along with all the blue collar people in the audience and all that. And he said, they didn't want to talk business. They didn't have respect. And I let them know. I told them the story about Mick Jagger. I said, here's what happens. Either before or after your comedy act, you just go into your car, you go into the dressing room, you make a quick change, you take off the T-shirt and the backwards hat, and you comb your hair up, and you put on a jacket and a tie or a dress shirt or a suit or however you want to dress, but you dress for business. And then you walk in and watch what happens. Their jaws will drop, just like my client attorney told me they did for Mick Jagger, and they will have respect and they will listen. And you will be able to sell what you're selling and gain clients and become independently wealthy and move into your dream house and support your family and get off the road and never have to be on the road, an on-the-road comedian ever again. You can just play the venues where you want, when you want, the ones that pay the best. That's what his life is like now. That's what he did. And started working like clockwork. So there's one business lesson. There are many more. And perhaps I'll cover them in the future, maybe every year, on Mick Jagger's birthday. But pay attention to those successful in life that you think are successful just because they're good at what they do. The doing is not what brings in the money. It's the advertising, the marketing, and the business strategy. And again, if you want help with any of that, go to www.thewowstrategy.com. Thanks for being here today. We're watching on the replay, and I will catch you tomorrow on Foundation Friday as the sun sets in the west and the moon is already up in the sky somewhere. Anyway, I saw it before I started filming this. Oh, it's behind the tree. There it is. The moon is up in the east. Sun is setting in the west. Gorgeous evening here. Hope it's fantastic wherever you are, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Over and out.